talk about al-Ḥamīd al-Farāhī. He is a Muslim scholar in the Indian subcontinent at the beginning of the 20th century, and I will talk about his views on the Bible. The challenge when we are talking about Farāhī, that some of, let's say, disciplinaries or some of scholars are well known or know Ḥamīd ad-Dīn Farāhī very, very well, and others don't have any idea who is Ḥamīd ad-Dīn Farāhī. So this is a little bit challenge for me. How can I introduce the Farāhī first of all, and try to highlight his influence in the India subcontinent at the beginning of 20th century, and then talking about his works in general, and then talking about his views on the Bible, because it's very important to go, let's say, smoothly from the framework to the details. Also, in the Islamic context, the people or the scholars or researchers who wanted to talk about Ḥamīd ad-Dīn al-Farāhī, they in general started with a quote from Shibli Nu'mani. He is one of the well-known scholars in India also, and he is Farāhī's cousin in the same time and teacher. So Shibli Nu'mani said about Farāhī, he said that it's expected that genius in any field cannot remain unknown for a long time. However, Ḥamīd ad-Dīn Farāhī is a great example of exception to this fact, because even in the Muslim context, many people don't know who is Ḥamīd ad-Dīn Farāhī. As I have 45 minutes, I will try my best to invest it effectively. I will share my screen. You can see my screen, isn't that? Yes. So the title is Writings on the Bible by al-Ḥamīd al-Farāhī. I will use Farāhī, his last name. This is Farāhī in his youth, and this is Farāhī in his old age. He born in Farīha. Farīha is a small town in Azamgara. So I would like just to take a moment to focus on the right map or the right image. The left is for India, of course, but the right one is for Azamgara. Azamgara is a small district under Uttar Pradesh, let's say, state here. And Azamgara, he born in Farīha, and later he established his school in Sarai Amir at the same district. It's in the same place. So he born here, and he established his school or his madrasa with other scholars in Sarai Amir. Also, to know more the influence, or to imagine the influence of Ḥamīd ad-Dīn Farāhī in the Indian subcontinent specifically, and in the worldwide generally, especially the Islamic world, let's just keep in our mind that here is Azamgara, we have Pakistan, and here is Kerala at the southwest of India, and I will talk more about Kerala and Pakistan later, how his influence in Kerala and Pakistan reached out. His journey, as a typical for many Muslim scholars, started by memorizing Quran in the childhood, and he studied Persian and Arabic in a very high level. So I could say he is more than native in Arabic. So we are talking about Arabic, Persian, and Urdu, of course, the native, his mother tongue or the native tongue. And also he studied Hebrew with the scholar Joseph Horowitz, the German or Dutch scholar, and I will talk about that more. Then he traveled to Lucknow and Lahore, then returned to study English privately, and then take a bachelor degree in English. So we are talking about now 5 languages. And he started as an Arabic teacher. Then work in the Muhammadan Anglo Oriental College, which became later Aligarh University, established by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. And it's totally interesting to talk about the relation between Farāhī and Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, because it's, I think, unpacked yet. He worked with Joseph Horowitz for editing one of history books in the Islamic context, Kitab al-Tabaqat, and become one of members in Nadwatul Ulama. Starting from 1908 or 1910, he established his own school, his own madrasa, which is Madrasatul Islah, and I will talk about that. And between 1910 to 1930, mainly he spent his last 20 years just working on his exegesis and books for Quran, exegesis for Quran, which called Nizam al-Quran. This is a timeline. Maybe I will give you just 1 minute to figure it out as a timeline. It's interesting that he worked as Arabic professor at Mir College with William Mir. So that's something also good to be focused on. Now, between 1910 to after 1910, he started or established his own madrasa. It's Madrasatul Islah with his cousin, with his teacher in the same time. He is his cousin and his teacher, Shibli Nu'mani. They both together, with supporting from Muhammad Shafi'i, they established Madrasatul al-Islah in 1910. 1910, this is mentioned in the Encyclopedia of Islam, edition 3, but I think what is a little bit more accurate is 1908. With Allama Shibli al-Nu'mani, his cousin and his teacher also. Some images for the Madrasatul Islah, Islah School Madrasa, and also the Jami' or the mosque for this madrasa in Saramir, in Azamgara, in his own town. Again, on the website for madrasa, for it's now University of Madrasatul Islah, it's now become a university. They mentioned it's established on 1908, not 1910, but no big difference. This is recently photo for Madrasatul Islah, and we can see the mosque here, also Jami'ul Islah. I will return back here just 1 minute. Even that Muhammad Shafi'i and Shibli Nu'mani, together with Hamiduddin al-Farāhī, established this madrasa or this school, but few years later, the influence of Hamiduddin al-Farāhī covered Shibli Nu'mani influence and also Muhammad Shafi'i in this school in particular, or in this madrasa. So anything after that become relevant to al-Ḥamīd al-Din Farāhī. What I mean by that, for example, the journal now issued by the university called Nizam al-Quran Journal, which is the same title for al-Ḥamīd al-Din Farāhī book. Also, we can see that the publisher or the publishing center in the university, it's called al-Ḥamīdiyya Publishing Center or al-Dar al-Ḥamīdiyya. So all aspects of the university become more relevant, closer to Ḥamīd al-Din al-Farāhī, because the students there, the alumni there, the scholars there consider him as the person number one, as the leader for this university, as the person who established it more than others. Also, as I said, Ḥamīd al-Din Farāhī, the university established al-Dar al-Ḥamīdiyya, the Ḥamīdiyya Publishing Center, which is used Ḥamīd al-Din Farāhī name, and in the same time, it's published all Ḥamīd al-Din Farāhī books after he died. Okay, as you know, that in the Indian context, there's kind of influencing for some schools or madrasas, like in Nadawi, we will find a lot of scholars after Nadawi using the last name as al-Nadawi, or Dayubandi, the very famous tradition madrasa in Dayuband. You can find the majority of scholars there use the name as Dayubandi, etc. So day by day, the scholars who graduated from the Islah University or Madrasatul Islah become use the name Islahi. Islahi relevant to Madrasatul Islah, and all of them are embedded or imitate Ḥamīd al-Din al-Farāhī thoughts. I will just pass by very quickly on some of Islamic scholars in India who are belong to this madrasa, to know how much the influence of this madrasa in the Islamic context, and also it's very important to know the influence of Ḥamīd al-Din al-Farāhī on the Muslim scholars' thoughts in the India. The first one is Amin Ahsan Islahi, his close student. He traveled from or immigrated from India to Pakistan and established Al-Jama'ah al-Islamiyya in Pakistan, and then he spread out all Ḥamīd al-Din Farāhīs and published a lot of books. One of things that is notable for Amin Ahsan Islahi that he take a copy of all Ḥamīd al-Din Farāhī's heritage to Pakistan. So we have two let's say copies. The first one in India in the Madrasatul Islah as a manuscripts, and the other copy with Amin Ahsan Islahi. Then both places, or in two places, each part published Ḥamīd al-Din Farāhī's book separately. Muhammad Yusuf Islahi, Maulana Ziyauddin Islahi. Some of these scholars are very well known in the Islamic context, while Amin Ahsan Islahi is more or is well known in the West context because he wrote some books, and some of his students translate some of his books, like Mustansir Mir and others. Also, Muhammad Ayyub Islahi, Muhammad Ajmal Islahi, and it's very important to mention Muhammad Ajmal Islahi. He is the one who published all Ḥamīd al-Din Farāhī's book in Arabic, in Arab countries. I found some photos or profile photos, some not. You know, it's haram for some scholars in that time. So yeah, I asked her grandson to share with me one of his personal photos with the family. And it's very important here also to highlight the importance of studying the social network for Farāhī's school, and the kind of sociology, religious sociology study will be very, very important to study these relevance connections and how each one affect on others as a big family or as a big school and madrasa. Ubaydullah al-Farāhī, he is grandson of Farāhī. He died a few years ago. Badruddin Islahi and Amanatullah. Okay, I will go forward from Maulana Amanatullah Islahi to his brother Muhammad Inayatullah Subhani. I met him in India a few months ago. He is the dean and the former dean and founder of the College of Quran in the Islamic University, Al-Jamia Al-Islamiyya in the Shantapuram, in the south, in Kerala. And he applied literally all Ḥamīd ad-Din Farāhī concepts in this university. So even we have the Madrasatul Islah in the northeast of India, but also the Jamia Al-Islamiyya in southwest applied maybe more than Madrasatul Islah Ḥamīd ad-Din Farāhī's thoughts. I spent the time discuss with him just a specific point related to Muslim Christian studies. He influenced by Ḥamīd ad-Din Farāhī, and based on Ḥamīd ad-Din Farāhī thoughts, he considered the mixed marriage as a haram, and which is not the mainstream from Muslim perspective. He considered marrying from the people of the book, or marriage or the Muslim, if he marry a woman from the people of the book, Jewish or Christian, he considered that haram at all. It's forbidden at all, which is not the mainstream, which is not the common thought or common idea or common fatwa opinion for the Muslim scholars in India or even in worldwide. But he affected by the system of Ḥamīd ad-Din Farāhī and consider this kind of mixed marriage or interfaith marriage as a haram. And he explained or built his argument over 20 pages or 25 pages in one of his book. This book is Clear Verses That Have Not Been Understood. And you can see from the title that he considered the common understanding is wrong, and now he wants to share with us the true understanding, even if it's not common or it's not clear for many people. So this is first maybe introduction, first step on the influencing of Ḥamīd ad-Din Farāhī on the Muslim Christian, let's say, relation or thoughts. Ḥamīd ad-Din Farāhī, as I mentioned, he is well educated and in the same time very, very fluent in the Persian. He wrote a poem or a collection of poetry or poems in Persian. The point that I wanted to focus on it, that he translates the Bible. He translate from the Hebrew to Persian, a book, he called it Khiradnama. He translated the book of Proverbs from the Old Testament without using any Arabic vocabulary in it. So he translated from Hebrew to Persian, skipping mentioning any Arabic root word in this poem. It's still manuscript. I don't think it's translated yet. It's still manuscript, and I think it's very good research topic that someone translated and published it and translated. Unfortunately, I don't know Persian, so it needs someone who are familiar with the Persian and Hebrew together, and maybe Arabic, I don't know, but I don't think Arabic is needed here. And there's some scholars said, I'm not sure to to which level this is accurate. They are talking about that this book, after he translated it from Hebrew to Persian, he shared it with Joseph Horowitz. Of course, there was a relation, a good relation between both, because they worked together, and Farāhī worked under Joseph's supervision for a while, but I don't know about how much accurate this, let's say, information. Again, Farāhī's scope of work, not just in the biblical context, but also he translated the fables of Asaf. He called it Aesop, from English to Arabic. So he translated it from English to Arabic during his bachelor degree, because he studied bachelor degree, and kind of he wanted to apply his what he learned through translating this book, and it's now available in Arabic, and it's one of the curriculum, one of the book in the syllabus that the students in both Madrasa Islah and Madrasa Jamia Islamiyya Kerala, they read it as a student in the secondary or undergraduate level, or the secondary level, not postgraduate. Why I mentioned all of that, but just I want to give you a brief about how the diversity of his knowledge. We are talking about translating from English to Arabic, from Hebrew to Persian, and of course from Urdu to Arabic, etc. Now let's talk about the most important book. Actually, this book, Nizam al-Quran, the order of the Quran, the coherence in the Quran, is the most important and influenced book for Farāhī ever. He spent his life trying to apply his thoughts in this book on the Quran. Nizam al-Quran. This is the book, Nizam al-Quran. It's in Arabic. Later, Ahsan Islahi translated it to Urdu. It's not available in English yet. However, there's kind of introduction to it in English. I will mention that. Yeah, so it's from Arabic to Hebrew to Urdu, and it's translated by Tariq Hashimi, not the book, but just introduction to the book. His student, Amin Islahi, who translated that from Arabic to Urdu. His student, Amin Islahi, wrote his exegesis, his tafsir, which is called Tadabbur al-Quran, in Urdu, and he imitates all Farāhī's thoughts, and then it's translated to English. And recently we have a kind of a study, not recently, but I think but because it's relevant to CMCS Oxford, Dr Mustansir Mir published a study on the Islahist concepts 20 years ago or something like that, and it was built on his PhD dissertation. Again, there's a point not relevant to to the Christian Muslim studies, but it's very important to be understood to understand Farāhī more. Farāhī always talk about nizam, while the other scholars talking about nazm. I translated personally nizam to be the order or system, and the nizam to be coherence, the coherence of the Quran. Some scholars don't make a differentiation between both. Personally, I think there's a huge difference between nizam and nazm. Nizam is something totally different than nazm, embedded nazm in it, embedded the coherence in it, but it's more than that. Now let's start talking about some Farāhī's book, which is related to Muslim Christian studies, or at least Muslim views on the Bible. The first one is the true view on who is the sacrifice. It's a very well-known book in the Arabic and Islamic context. He claimed that the sacrifice is Ishmael, not Ishaq or Isaac at all. He is Ishmael, not Isaac at all. And he brings a lot of evidences from Quran, from Hadith, from Sunnah, from Islamic sources, and even from Bible, the Old Testament and New Testament. In this book, he mentioned and quoted a lot of verses from the Old Testament. So I will not look to it, but he mentioned just some verses from the New Testament. So I will take this just only some quotes from some verses he quoted from the New Testament. He take a quote from Matthew, chapter 3, verse 7 to 10, in a context that he wanted to talk that about Jewish people of the book, always they change the, not following the orders and don't follow the prophets, etc. So he bring it in a kind of negative way. The other one is from John, Jesus' speech, all who have come before me are thieves and robbers. And he then corrected it. He said, no, this is wrong. This is corrupted. I will give you the correct, let's say, sentence. That Jesus said, all who have come in front of my hand or between my hands are thieves and robbers. Because Farāhīs want to, why did he say that? Because he wants to mention that Jesus talk about his companions, his disciplines, not talking about the prophets before him. The third one is from Psalm 84, verse 6, which is very common to be used by Muslims. He mentioned that this verse in Psalm, as they pass through the valley of Becca, and then he spent 2 pages or less than that, maybe 1 page, explain that the original Bible talking about Becca, which is the name of Mecca, and then it had been altered by the people of the book, which is a little bit common in the Islamic context, tafsirs. Again, in the same book, The True View in Who is the Sacrifice, he mentioned some principles for examining the scriptures of the Jews. And he focused on the Jews more than just Jews and Christians, because the majority of quotes come from the Old Testament. So what he said, he mentioned several, let's say, principles. The Muslim should follow it before looking to the other scriptures or the scriptures of the people of the book or scriptures of Jews. No need to read it. I will give you 2 minutes. You can read it. Okay. For any mistakes in the translation, it's my mistakes. It's my own mistake. So I put the Arabic screenshot for it here. So anyone wanted to correct my translation, feel free to do that. Okay. When we are talking about the Bible, Farāhī used the Van Dyck Bible edition. Van Dyck Bible edition 1890. This is the let's say the Arabic Bible that Farāhī used it. So he used an Arabic Bible, not Hebrew, not Urdu. And I could say that based on several, let's say, proofs or several points. First one, by comparing, I do that personally, comparing many texts in several positions or pages in his book, الرأي الصحيح في من هو الذبيح, and comparing it with Van Dyck. It's totally the same. And also because it's the available Arabic one in his time. And personally, I asked the administrator of Da'ira Hamidiyya, because they have his own manuscript there. I tried to take a copy of this manuscript because he added his comments on it as comments from Farāhī on the Bible, personal comments, but I didn't have it yet, but I will still working on that to have a copy of that, because I think it will be very useful to see or read his comments, his personal comments on the Bible. Even Farāhī used the Van Dyck edition that didn't prevent him to change some verses, even in Arabic. He thought that it's corrupted. So, for example, in the same book, he mentioned this verse from Psalm 149, verse 6, and he used the English. I bring here the English translation and also the Arabic translation for verse number 6. May the praise of God be in their mouths and double-edged sword in their hands. So I mentioned here the Van Dyck edition. However, Farāhī didn't follow this Arabic translation and change it. What he said, he used, instead of Tanwihatullah in Arabic, may the praise of God be in their mouths, he used Allahu Akbar, which seems very clear Islamization for this text. So he used Allahu Akbar. Again, he used another term, not Haddain, Sayfu dhu Haddain, a double-edged sword. He used slightly bit different term, a Sayfu dhu Shafratain. Actually, it's not a huge difference, but Farāhī as a high Arabic, let's say, scholar, he knows the difference between Haddain and Shafratain. It's a little bit slightly different, but I don't have ability to explain it in the English. But I think Sayfu dhu Haddain, it's double-edged sword, while Sayf dhu Shafratain, it's a twin-edged sword. A twin-edged sword. Why he used that? Because there's a difference between the imagination of double-edged sword in Christianity and the twin-edged sword in Islam. Because the second one, it's little bit give imagination for Ali sword, for Prophet Muhammad sword, more than anything else. So I think he did that intentionally. He wants the reader to be closer to the Islamic image of the double-edged sword, which is to the left, not to the right. I'm not sure about that, but this is my understanding for it. One of other books, it's not being translated yet. It's not being published in Arabic even yet. It's still as a manuscript. It's called Al-Iklil fi Sharh al-Injil, the crown regarding the explanation of the gospel. And again, it's my own translation. Some of these translations corrected by Martin, and the mistakes is from my side. Martin, he is my supervisor and the savior for me. Okay, so this is on the right image, you can see the manuscript, and this is by Ḥamīd al-Farāhī handwriting. This is his own handwriting. Okay, and I checked that from several scholars, including some of scholars in Da'ira Hamidiyya in Madrasatul Islah. This is another copy written by Badruddin Islahi. I mentioned him previously. He is the library administrator during Ḥamīd al-Farāhī time. Not now, during Ḥamīd al-Farāhī time. Okay, this book is still as a manuscript, the crown regarding the explanation of gospel. You can see at the left here, note from Farāhī himself. Here is the note, and is a little bit more clear. He said the references or the books or the English references that could be very useful in authoring this book, in writing this book. And he mentioned 2 books. The first one is a historical introduction to the study of the books of the New Testament. And the second one, an introduction to the study of the Gospels. I think this is a very well known, isn't that? But the second is not same. I don't know. I'm not familiar with both, but it seems both in the Indian subcontext, in the Indian context in that time. Again, we are talking about al-Iklil, and then in his interpretation of Surah al-Fatiha, for example, Farāhī compared between al-Fatiha and the Lord's Prayer, and he spent some pages, few pages, make a comparison or comparing between both Fatiha and the Lord's Prayer. I'm still working on that by supporting from Martin to translate it from Arabic to English and explain or give annotating on it. As you can see, I'm still in processing with all this information. Nothing is finished yet. So it's a journey, and I'm enjoying it in this journey more than anything else. For example, to see how Farāhī is doing and altering or changing the verses again, when he compared between the Lord's Prayer and the Fatiha, in the Lord's Prayer, he mentioned the verse, "Our Father who is in heaven." He just said, no, it's altered, and the original is "Our Lord." And then bringing some Islamic texts or some evidences. So in a simple way, he just said this is corrupted and the original is "Our Lord," not "Our Father," to be compatible or integrated with the Islamic concept and Islamic texts. Again, in his book, he tried also to make kind of comparison between the Gospels itself. So here Matthew, and here is Mark, and he tried to compare between both and examining the differences between 2 Gospels to emphasize that there's kind of altering or corruption or changing or absorption, etc. So this is one of his tools also. In general, Farāhī's thoughts or views on the Bible, not always positive. In some context, it's positive, but the majority is little bit negative. Another book for Farāhī's, he mentioned it. He called al-Tarīf fi al-Tahrīf, the amusing on distortion. And from the title also, you can see what is the thoughts beyond that. What is the thoughts beyond that? By the way, this book is not written, so he just mentioned. Farāhī is not a professional writer. He just started and then not finished the books and then choose the title for a book, but he didn't write any passage in this under this title. So we will find many of titles without a book. It's just only title or thoughts in his mind. even if he mentioned it in his book, but he never writes it. Okay, I will now wrapping up by taking a look to all these Farāhī's books, thoughts. It's now very good to go forward and collect all these different, let's say, thoughts and from different books to draw a framework, to draw to understand the pattern, to understand the style for or the understanding style for Farāhī's on the Bible or Farāhī's view on the Bible. I'm still working on that. Nothing finished yet, but I'm in my journey. I will go forward not to talk about teachers of Farāhī because I don't think this is relevant to what we want to say, but just we can see from the list of some of teachers of Farāhī who teach him Arabic, Persian, Hebrew, English, Islamic studies, etc. No one mentioned Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan as one of his teachers, because even Farāhī is younger than Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan, and even Farāhī worked under Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan administration in Aligarh for several years, and even Farāhī worked with some projects delivered by Aligarh University in that time, but we couldn't consider Farāhī as a one of Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan's students. Even more, I could say that there's a kind of contradiction between Farāhī's thoughts and Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan's thoughts. Still, we have several opinions about that, so I will mention three scholars' thought about the relation between Farāhī and Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan. The first one is Amin Ahsan Islahi himself, the most important student for Farāhī. He said, Maulana Farāhī considered Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan tafsir, Tabyin al-Kalam, consider it as a fitna, embedded a lot of wrong things. So even there's kind of respect for Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan as a reformer, but still Farāhī considered this book as something should be corrected. Another scholar, his name is Rihan Ahmad Yusufi, in the contemporary context, he tried to explain that through comparing between the philosophy theory, the philosophical theory that Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan wanted to spread it, and Imam Farāhī background of philosophical theory, and make a comparison between both. Consider there's a kind of a huge difference between both. And this is very kind of common thought in India about Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan. He is belonged to the British Empire, so you know it become kind of weak point or negative point for him. However, Charles Ramsey, Dr. Charles Ramsey from Baylor University, and one of scholars engaged actively with CMCS, both Oxford and Houston, and well known for you, of course. He tried to compare between Sayyid Ahmad Khan and Farāhī, and he reached to a conclusion that the spirit in which carries forward the ethic supported by Sayyid's conclusion, it's embedded, or later the Farāhī hold it. So he claimed that Farāhī, as he worked closely with Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan, little bit affected or carried the same spirit in a way or another. I think this conclusion should be in a way or another studied more, maybe partially affected by Sayyid Ahmed Khan, partially, but not totally. And in some specific, let's say, aspects, because we can see the difference between Farāhī's view on the Bible and Sir Sayyid Ahmed Khan views on the Bible. And I think this is also a promising or a topic, something should be studied, the comparison between Farāhī's view on the Bible and Sir Sayyid Ahmed Khan views on the Bible as a kind of comparison study. Because I don't think there's kind of overlapping between both or between these two scholars, even they spend a long time with each other. I hope that I give kind of fruit or insights about Sayyid Ahmed Khan. I will share the material with you later, and this is kind of references for whom wanna to examine it. And again, finally, I said Bismillah. I think this is my first step in the journey to study Hamid Farāhī views on the Bible. I'm not in the mid of the way. I'm at the beginning, at the first step. So maybe in the upcoming days, weeks, months, and years, in the soon future, I will prepare something more rigid and more convenience for listeners and others. Thank you.
Thank you, Motaz, very much indeed for that enticing introduction.